Caitlin Clark just sent shockwaves through the basketball world with a move no one saw coming. ESPN is in full meltdown mode, and the WNBA is scrambling to recover. Why? Because Clark, the league's brightest star, has signed a massive contract in Europe, leaving the Indiana Fever and the entire WNBA in big trouble. She was their golden ticket, and now she's gone, leaving everyone wondering how they let her slip away. Clark didn't just play for the WNBA, she dominated. She fought through brutal fouls, terrible officiating, and endless media spin. After all the hits she took, both on and off the court, she's decided enough is enough. She's packing her bags and heading overseas, and the sports world is absolutely buzzing. ESPN and the WNBA, they're panicking. Before we get into the juicy details, take a second to like and subscribe to the channel. Trust me, you won't want to miss any updates on this bombshell story and what it means for the future of the WNBA. Caitlin Clark's decision to walk away isn't just about her. It's a wake-up call for the entire league. The WNBA had its shot to build a dynasty around her, and they blew it. Caitlin Clark's exit from the WNBA has sent shockwaves through the league, and it's hard to blame her. For months, she has been the heart and soul of the WNBA, carrying the league on her back while enduring physical play that went far beyond the norms of basketball. Players targeted her, referees ignored blatant fouls, and critics lined up to tear her down. Yet through it all, she kept the league alive, drawing in fans and viewers like never before. Now, after enduring too much, she's made the decision to take her talents overseas, and both the WNBA and ESPN are left scrambling to figure out how they let their biggest star slip away. Caitlin Clark wasn't just any player, she was the player. She turned the WNBA into must-watch TV, filling arenas and boosting viewership to new heights. But instead of protecting and supporting her, the league allowed her to be treated like a punching bag. Game after game, she was subjected to brutal physical play, and the officials often turned a blind eye. Clark fought through it, but eventually she reached her breaking point. Now that she's leaving for Europe, the WNBA is facing a harsh reality. They've lost their biggest asset, and they have no one to blame but themselves. When Clark announced she was leaving the WNBA for Europe, it wasn't just the league that was shocked. ESPN, which had been using her to boost ratings, is now scrambling to figure out what went wrong. Clark wasn't just a star player, she was the reason people cared about the WNBA. She was filling arenas, drawing in TV viewers, and selling merchandise like no one else. Yet the league and its media partners failed to appreciate her value until it was too late. Now all they're left with is regret and missed opportunities, wondering how they let their golden goose fly away. Clark's performances on the court were nothing short of spectacular. In her final game with the Indiana Fever, she scored 29 points, handed out 10 assists, and grabbed 7 rebounds. She was a one-woman show, carrying her team, while her teammates fumbled and made mistake after mistake. Despite her brilliance, the referees allowed her to be pushed around and fouled with little consequence. It was as if Clark was playing in a different league, one where she was the only player held to any real standard. Fans came to see basketball, but what they got was more like a wrestling match every time Clark was on the floor. Now ESPN and the WNBA are acting like they've always cared about Clark. But let's be honest, they didn't. Before Clark joined the Indiana Fever, the team was lucky to draw 3,000 fans to a game. But with Clark in the lineup, attendance shot up to over 177,000 fans per game, a 400% increase. Clark wasn't just a player, she was a once-in-a-generation talent who brought attention to a league that desperately needed it. But instead of building around her, the WNBA spread itself too thin, trying to focus on the league as a whole rather than celebrating its biggest star. They failed to realize what they had until it was too late. One of the clearest signs of Clark's impact was in jersey sales. Her jersey didn't just sell well, it became the best-selling jersey in WNBA history, even outselling legends like Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi. And Clark was only a rookie. Beating out Hall of Famers in merchandise sales isn't just impressive, it's unheard of. She turned the WNBA into must-see TV, drawing in viewers who had never watched a game before. Her games were national events, pulling in 1.5 million viewers for a single game against the New York Liberty. To put that in perspective, that's more viewers than some NBA games on TNT. But now that she's gone, what does the WNBA have left? Empty seats, unsold jerseys, and a bunch of analysts trying to figure out how they fumbled the easiest win in sports history. Clark didn't just face pressure on the court, she also endured brutal physical play. Opponents didn't just defend her, they attacked her. Every game felt like she was stepping into a street fight, with players elbowing, shoving, and fouling her at every turn. It wasn't just basketball, it was a battle. And what did the WNBA do to protect her? Nothing. The league's officials consistently ignored the rough play, allowing Clark to be hammered game after game. Imagine being the face of a league, the player everyone comes to see, and being treated like this. It's no wonder she decided to leave. The refereeing in Clark's games was nothing short of a disaster. Time and time again, they missed obvious fouls, letting Clark get pushed around without consequence. One incident, where Clark was poked in the eye, should have been a turning point. Instead, the league shrugged it off as if it were just another day on the court. How can a league claim to care about its players when it lets its brightest star be treated like this? The emotional toll on Clark must have been enormous. She worked harder than anyone else, yet was left exposed, unprotected, and criticized for not being tough enough. No player should have to go through what Clark went through. But the physical toll wasn't the only thing Clark had to deal with. Off the court, she faced unfair criticism from all angles. One of the most absurd moments came when Alyssa Thomas, a fellow player, made comments suggesting that Clark's popularity was rooted in racial bias rather than her undeniable talent. ESPN and other media outlets ran with this narrative, turning Clark's success into a debate about race instead of celebrating her incredible performances. Clark, to her credit, stood her ground, insisting that her success came from hard work, not race. But the fact that she even had to respond to such a ridiculous claim shows just how twisted the media's coverage had become. This kind of negative attention didn't just hurt Clark, it made the entire WNBA look bad. The league prides itself on being inclusive and supportive, but when it came time to defend its biggest star, it dropped the ball. Instead of protecting Clark and promoting her achievements, they allowed her to be dragged into a pointless controversy that only tarnished her reputation. The WNBA should have been building Clark up as the next big thing in sports. Instead, they allowed the media to tear her down. Now with Clark heading to Europe, the WNBA and ESPN are left to deal with the fallout. They had a star player who was bringing in fans, boosting ratings, and selling merchandise like no one else. But they let her slip away. Caitlin Clark was the heartbeat of the league, the player who made the WNBA worth watching. And now she's gone, taking all the excitement and buzz with her. The league could have built its entire future around her, made her the face of the WNBA for years to come. But they fumbled the opportunity, and now they're left with nothing but regret. Caitlin Clark's decision to leave the WNBA isn't just a loss for the league, it's a huge blow for women's basketball as a whole. The WNBA had a chance to elevate itself to new heights, to finally capture the national attention it has long deserved. But they let that chance slip through their fingers. Now Clark is heading to a league that will appreciate her talent, and the WNBA is left with the wreckage of a missed opportunity so large it may never recover. In the end, Caitlin Clark gave everything she had to the WNBA. She brought attention, excitement, and growth to a league that desperately needed it. But when she needed them to have her back, they failed her. Now Europe gets to reap the benefits of having one of the greatest players in the world, while the WNBA and ESPN are left wondering what could have been. What do you think? Did the WNBA drop the ball, or was this move inevitable for Caitlin Clark? Share your comments down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any updates on our channel. Thanks for watching.